We'll look at the parts one more time. Set up, then squeeze. Good riders will brake like this every time they brake, so good braking becomes a habit. Good braking habits will help you in an emergency. Now let's look at how a good rider applies the brakes while on the road.
Whenever I ride a bike, I always check the brakes out first. Each bike's just so different. I need to know how much slack's in the levers and how well each brake works. Every time I brake, I'm going to set up and squeeze. Sign indicates roundabout ahead. I can see the roundabout now. There's a pedestrian crossing there, a lot of white markings on the road. I'm going to do my best to avoid them. Turning right, mirror signal, set the brakes up early, squeezing gently. Checking my view to the right, got vehicles coming in through there, just wait for them. The front brake's a stopping brake, but on some surfaces you've got to use it really gently. Gravel road ahead, set up, squeeze firm on the bitumen, ease off and reapply gently. There's less grip. Also helps moving onto gravel to keep the weight on the pegs and ease out of the seat. That helps with bike control. It's the same in the wet. You've got to be real gentle on the brakes. You can't squeeze either brake as hard. Set up long before you normally would to get the brakes working. And squeeze gently. It'll take you more room to stop. Set up, squeeze, and stop. On really slippery surfaces, there's no braking at all because there's almost no grip. I'll keep the bike upright, weight on the pegs, and use gentle acceleration. For curves, do your braking before entering the turn. Set up, squeeze. Off brakes. You can't brake firmly on this angle because tyre grip's being used up for cornering. If you make a mistake and have to brake firmly, bike upright and squeeze. See the dangerous position that's put me in. That's why it's so important to brake to a safe speed before entering the corner.
On a bike, braking is your main survival method. Good braking, set up and squeeze, is not a natural instinct. It's a bike skill that has to be learned, then practiced over and over, even when you think you may have mastered it. Braking is a vital part of the total riding package. In the previous segments, we've looked at the bike control skills you need and the mental skills to recognise harm. In this segment, let's look at the vital third link in the harm triangle, the ability to exercise self-control. For most people, riding is more than just an economical means of transport. There's another dimension to it. It feels good. Let's call this the fun and freedom factor. Probably the hardest thing about riding is having the self-control to keep this fun and freedom factor in check. There's a fine line between enjoying your riding and taking high risks without thinking things through. In this segment, we'll look at how to keep a safe balance between enjoying your riding and high-risk riding. We'll give you some ideas on how to stay in control of yourself so you can enjoy riding as long as you like, rather than remember how good riding used to be. What do we mean by high-risk riding? It's when we put ourselves in a position where we depend upon luck to get us through, or where one mistake can cost us big time. It's when we put ourselves in a potentially dangerous situation to get some minor benefit. We might do this deliberately or without thinking. As you can see from this risk meter, at the moment the risk is low. Now this is higher risk riding. As the rider approaches the curve, his visibility is reduced. He doesn't back off enough, so he's increasing his level of risk. It's potentially dangerous. A car cutting the corner, gravel on the road, a strip of water, or just about anything could be in the rider's survival space. and the rider is risking a crash. Taking this level of risk, what's in it for the rider? What's the so-called benefit? Some riders might say the excitement, or being seen as a quick rider. Here's another example. A potentially dangerous situation. Though the car driver should stop here, if he doesn't, the rider might not be able to avoid crashing. How has this riding action benefited the rider? It saved a bit of effort, maybe, the effort of slowing down and moving away, but he was risking his life to do that. And this is risk-taking too. It's potentially dangerous because if the car stops suddenly, the rider will crash into it. What's the benefit? The rider would probably say it means no one else gets the space, but he was risking a crash to do that. In serious single vehicle crashes, more often than not, alcohol is involved. The rider was over the limit. Combining alcohol, drugs and riding is extremely dangerous. Risk-taking is putting ourselves in potentially dangerous situations, risking a crash, risking injury and even death for some benefit. The so-called benefit of getting there quicker, being accepted, looking cool, whatever. So how do we keep in control? As riders, we don't have to park the bike in the shed and grow old with it. The first step in making decisions about risk-taking is accepting that we have to look after our own survival, not hand it over to other road users or leave it to luck. So instead of thinking, bloody idiot took me out, there was stuff all I could do about it, we could instead say, I let him into my survival space. If I'd been more awake, I would have seen him and got out of the way, but I didn't give myself enough time to react. Now, this sort of response takes some self-control. It's a, there must have been something I could have done attitude to riding, which is great for learning more about risks, because it helps us learn from every mistake. I went into that corner too fast. Missed seeing that. Got to take more notice of the road surface. Moved in too early on that one. That's a dumb place to sit. I should have realised the driver wouldn't have been able to see me. If we guard our survival space so no cars or other road users can get into it, and the road surface is good, we're keeping down our level of risk. When a situation is riskier, slow down or move away from the danger. Thoughtful riding makes bike control look easy, but it also takes self-control, quite a bit of it. Even with some self-control, there'll be times when other thoughts or feelings push your risk meter up too high. Let's look at a Sunday ride with a group of mates. A sunny day, great curves, great views. What could be better? Something inside is pushing, something is encouraging us to take unacceptable risks. We want to be first to the checkered flag. Maybe we're too lazy to put on protective clothing. We want to be young and carefree, rediscover our youth. We think we should keep up with our mates. We feel the need to prove ourselves, even if it means taking unnecessary risks. These are feelings that aren't easy to deal with. We've all felt them at one time or another. Look at a plan we can use to keep the fun and freedom factor under control. The plan has two parts. First, look at ourselves riding, and second, consider the choices open to us. Let's look at ourselves riding and watch the situations we get ourselves into. This might be in curves, in traffic, or with mates. Once we have recognised the risk-taking situation, go to the next step. Consider the choices that are open to us. 1, choose the potential danger and high risk and how this benefits you. Or 2, choose a safe alternative and the benefits of this choice. Let's consider the potential danger in the high-risk approach. Take a look at these bikes from a local repair shop. This one crashed at 60 kilometres an hour. It will cost around $4,000 to fix. This bike crashed at 40 kilometres an hour. It's a total write-off. We all know that repairing or replacing a bike is expensive, far too expensive, and the human cost can't be measured in dollars. Not all crashes have this outcome, but there's a chance we'll fall off our bikes at some stage. What are the so-called benefits in the high-risk approach to riding? Saving some effort by not slowing down and moving away? looking cool, being seen to be quick, and so on. Are these real benefits? Is it worth getting injured, or worse? Now consider the safe alternative and its benefits. Save you heaps of money, save you all the aggro, no painful injuries, no grief for family and friends, no downside. The safe alternative can take a lot of self-control, but it will help us enjoy riding for as long as we want to ride.
It has padding on the elbow here, just in case you fall off the bike and hurt yourself. Also has padding on the knee down here. This is for when the Volvo driver pulls out without warning and side swipes your entire leg. Padding on the shoulder. This is a fashion statement. And of course you have the crash helmet. This is very important for just in case you run into the lamppost at 100 miles an hour. And also you have extra little bit of padding here in case any of these things worry you. And of course you have the gloves here and the boots for kicking and hitting the Volvo driver. Nothing personal, it's just a community service that I like to do. Get away. All right, well, let's have a look at the motorbike in just a second. But first of all, I know what you're asking me. What are the advantages of riding a bike? Well, first of all, there's the speed. This has a top speed of warp factor 3. Also, there's the acceleration. This is a fantastic acceleration. Can out-accelerate any car on the road, especially that new piss-weak V8 Holden. There's no problem with parking. You can kick in car panels, and you can really annoy your mother by cleaning it in the living room. Disadvantages are, basically, you cannot tow a caravan. And if you're wearing the full-face helmet and you sneeze, it's a bit of a bastard. Believe you me, I know that's true. Okay, let's have a look at the bike itself. This is a Suzuki GSX-R 750. GSX stands for Go Suck Eggs, copper. Of course, the Suzuki has the 4 inline Mikuni carburetors. It has the oil sump, oil-cooled motor, and of course this famous Suzuki round bit. Over here on the other side, as you can see, we have the twin wheels here, and this lovely throbbing sex thing here. And of course, very important, the red seat. Yes. Well, you see, a lot of people say that, you know, motorcycling is dangerous. It is not true at all. You see, I think there's nothing quite like sitting on a motorbike, driving, nothing quite like having a 750 between your legs, throbbing away there, if you know what I'm talking about. The first gang I ever joined as a motorcyclist was a gang called the Couriers. And we used to get around on little 125 Honda step-throughs. They had 6-speed and a top speed of 28 miles an hour. Not all the guys had motorbikes. A lot of them had to run alongside the others going... Well, nothing quite like the thrill of motorcycling, unless, of course, you're into hot air ballooning. So to all of you motorcyclists out there, hang on, just put this on. Stay upright. And take care on the roads, won't you? Just start this thing up.